I want to thank everybody that's listening for spending either your lunch hour or your breakfast hour or anywhere in between with us here, learning about agents in the Microsoft ecosystem. So we're talking today, going from Copilot to Autopilot, what Microsoft Cowork and Microsoft Scout, what they do. If you're in the AI ecosystem at all, playing with the toys, some of the stuff looks familiar from some of the other providers. Really excited, though, that we're getting that in the Microsoft ecosystem in a controlled environment that we can use, with our other tools and our data, first and foremost. So, Ryan, anything to add before we go ahead and get started?
No, I think we're ready and rocking and rolling.
Perfect. All right, so what we're going to cover today, the shift, why Microsoft is moving from Copilot tools, Copilot to Autopilot. We're going to go feature by feature. Where do these run? Where does Cowork run? Where does Scout run? How do you use it? What's it built on? Things like that. We've got live demos that we're going to show. We really appreciate, Ryan just kind of pulling up the screen, clicking through, seeing what it's like in real life. These are live. Important caveat. These are not pre-recorded. Sometimes things go wrong. Hopefully not today, but we will see. Governance, we're going to get into, what changes when an agent can't act on your data. What do we need to be aware of? And then how do you choose? How do you use the right one? So we'll go ahead and get started. So Ryan, can you kind of walk us through, I think everyone is very familiar with Copilot, but where Cowork and Scout really fit into the mix? And we promise not to PowerPoint you to death, but I want to set the stage.
Yeah. So like Taylor mentioned, a lot of people familiar with Copilot and whether that's Copilot Chat or the paid $30 a month version. But when it comes to that, you're interacting, you're doing your chat, it's responding back. But I'm sure people have seen the limit there of, well, I need you to go create me a meeting invite from this, or work through in a Word document, an Excel document, and eventually make a PowerPoint presentation from that. That's where Copilot's been very limited, and we've seen a lot of other partners with Claude, with ChatGPT, introducing some of those things. So that's where Cowork really came into, oh, wow, Copilot can actually do some fun things. Sits within your M365 Copilot, your M365 tenant still. And again, as I mentioned, you can give it a big task, and you'll see that in our demo, and it will go touch Excel. It's going to go touch Outlook, meeting invites, things like that. The big thing to remember here, whether it's Cowork or even into Scout, is it's really trying to build that trust with you. So it's not going to just go and take sensitive steps on your behalf without you approving those pieces. Where Scout, and this is still very new, Scout is technically frontier preview, so not quite production ready, but it's ready for everybody to go do some fun testing.
Yeah, no, and if you're not familiar, I think Scout really is kind of Microsoft's answer to like the OpenClaw Claude bot, that is now OpenClaw, that agentic, true virtual assistant, workflow, right? Being able to give it, the ability to think on its own, to go act on its own. You can talk to it. It does some really cool stuff. There's a lot of, full transparency, a lot of risk with that, right? So we want to make sure that we've got good controls in place, that we understand what its capabilities are, and we'll get into a lot of that. So,
yep.
All right. So starting with Cowork, Ryan.
Yep.
What it is, where it lives.
So lives within your M365 tenant. It is an app on the web or within your Windows machine on your desktop, and as of last week, even being able to get that on your mobile device. That is one big thing that Microsoft got ahead of some of the other players, is Cowork and some of the other tenants or applications couldn't run Claude or run Cowork on their mobile device. All the files, everything that it works with is still just within your M365 tenant. It can't write to your local machine or read your local files or anything like that.
Hey, real quick, Ryan, just some housekeeping items. We kind of dove into this. love for this to be interactive. If you have questions, please throw them into the questions chat. We got a comment that somebody cannot hear you when you speak. Does anyone else having issues hearing Ryan? I'm hearing him in my headset, so I apologize if. Okay, Steve, not to pinpoint you, but we're getting that other people can. I don't know if it's a sound thing. So, okay, can't hear either of us now. I don't think it's a us thing. So, all right. Sorry to interrupt, Ryan.
Okay.
Go ahead. But if anybody does have questions, please throw them in the chat. We'll do our best to answer them. On the Scout stuff, a lot of that stuff being Frontier, answers change day to day, but we will do our best.
Yeah. And we'll get a little bit more into detail with the demo, but really with Cowork, you can now give it that big task, and it's going to work through the steps with you. You're going to see it and go through if it's needing approvals, things like that. And then some of those tasks as you're working through, man, it'd be nice if this could be on a schedule. That's where you can also set up a scheduling for those pieces as well.
Perfect. And then moving on to Microsoft Scout.
Yeah. So this is Microsoft's first Autopilot. Taylor mentioned before, this is built very similarly to OpenClaw. This is a standalone desktop app that runs on your Windows or Mac machine, not on a mobile device. Where Scout takes that next step to Cowork is it can run on your local files, run shell scripts. It's got a Playwright browser that can go out and do browsing tasks if need be. And then on additional to that, it can still read through your M365 data. It works within a workspace on your local machine. So it's not building a bubble in a cloud or environment or anything like that. Everything is very local to that piece. Still, how it feels to use, very similar to anything else. Me and Taylor kind of joked, Scout is, if Cowork is Claude Cowork, Scout is almost similar to Claude Code, if people are familiar with that aspect of things.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
And then, diving in feature by feature, and we've only got, I think, three more slides to get to the demos, but talk about how we actually drive Cowork and Scout.
Yeah. So where Cowork is going to be most beneficial is if you've got some longer instructions to go, you've needed to build more of those schedule prompts. And if you really don't have to worry about anything local on your machine, it's just a quick, easy, basically, I call it's Copilot on steroids, being able to go through your different Office apps and things like that. Where Scout is going to be much more beneficial is if you're needing to get a little bit more automation with your local machine. The big thing they're trying to push, and you'll see it a little bit in the demo, is being able to go out to a browser. If you need to fetch data off of some summary files or things like that, that's where Scout kind of takes the win in there.
Okay. And then, just to make sure, there's a lot of models out there. What are each of these built on, right? Is Cowork, Microsoft was heavy with OpenAI originally, still probably there in some capacity. Scout, and I think Scout's an important thing to call out. So I'll let you kind of cover that real quick.
So when it comes to the models, if you guys have been working in just Copilot or been testing some Cowork, you've probably now seen that you can select your models. We have Claude Sonnet available, Opus, and also along with that is GPT-5. Some of the imaging is Imagine 2. There is, you probably have seen some of in the news, Microsoft is building some of their own models now. So I'm sure that you're going to start seeing some of that being pushed and potentially getting maybe a GPT or Sonnet pulled out, but just keep your eyes open on that piece of it.
I don't know that I see the Anthropics and the OpenAIs getting pulled out, but I think the ecosystem broadly is just bringing more choice. And if anybody's been paying attention to what got announced yesterday, Ryan, we haven't even got the chance to talk about this one. Kimi K3 open weight model got launched and is actually beating Claude's Fable model in a number of benchmarks. So it's getting wild out there. I think it's great. It's great for the enterprise, right? Because you now have choice, you now have options, and you get that super intelligence, not necessarily locked into a specific frontier model. But we have those options right now. While those are the best that we can consume, Scout has an important caveat. I think important to talk through that if you're going to explore that and put your data, kind of through that tool. Important to look at the model that's available there.
Yeah, when it comes to Scout, even getting it enabled, you've got to be on the Frontier access on the back end with M365. There's some Intune pieces there, and then it requires a GitHub Copilot Enterprise or Business license. When it's doing its local actions, everything is going through Copilot's terms now, not necessarily Microsoft's governance terms.
Which Microsoft owns GitHub. Important caveat, right? Yeah. But again, it is a separate tool. Yeah, I see a world where they open up the ability to pick your model, but I also understand, similar to like the Claude codes of the world, right? They want you to run through the Claude model. I think Microsoft is going to want you to run through their GitHub models that they own. It's going to be much more cost efficient for them. So we've got choice in one area. We're a little locked in another, but I see that shift.
Fun news there. As of another thing yesterday, just updated Scout, and now we can pick up to Fable. You can pick Opus.
Oh man.
Yep.
I read the wrong news feed yesterday. Right. So that's an example of how fast this stuff is changing, though. It is amazing. Like if you blink, you've missed something. So it's a good thing we're both reading two separate data feeds, and we've got that covered. And if anyone has questions, don't hesitate to reach out. So, okay, so talk through skills, because if you've worked with agentic AI, this is a really important part for it to interact with the applications that actually allow us to do our jobs.
Yep. So a good example here would be, and you'll see in the demo, but a meeting brief, or you need to do a document comparison and you feel like you're always going in and having to do those steps rather than recreating the wheel every time. There might already be a built-in skill out there that Microsoft has created, or it allows you to create the skill yourself. You'll have a little add skill button, walk through the prompt of what skill you're trying to create, and then now you'll have a repeatable skill to be able to implement. And both these Cowork or Scout both have bundled skills in. I see right now there's only 5 bundled in with Scout, but I see this number increasing very quickly as things come along.
I would imagine. So just a comparison slide, if people want to take screenshots or make that easily available, just a summary of everything that we've covered. But we'll give that one more second. I will do a shout out. So, as you as an organization are looking at how do we take advantage of these tools, how do we integrate them into our workflows, take advantage of the promise of AI making us more efficient, it's a really broad field, right? So we would love to have the conversation with you directly about your needs. And we've been building out, if US Signal doesn't have the specific skill set for your specific need, we've actually been building out a big list of referral partners as well. We can either, we can help you out, or we can guide you to somebody that can, because I know a lot of this stuff can be really daunting, right? You talk through it, it seems easy, things like that. And then you start to build and you run into roadblocks, right? It didn't work the way it was supposed to in the demo. I mean, this has always been the case with software. I think it's just really amplified now. So if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to your account executive, reach out to Ryan or I directly, and we can do our best to guide you. All right, Ryan, now for the fun time, live demos.
Here we go.
I'm going to hand over the screen to you. We've got 2 Cowork demos, 3 Scout demos. And then at some point, we may just take Ryan off route and see what we can do. He loves when we do that. If anybody has any questions, again, based on what you're seeing, please don't hesitate to throw your questions into the chat. And even before we start, we got one from Andrew Lepore. The biggest question I have is Claude/Opus and how data is handled. Are enterprises protected when staff use those models? Really good question. Very important to understand. If you don't have an enterprise contract with Anthropic, if you don't have an enterprise contract with an OpenAI, there are no guarantees that they are not training on your data. Especially if it's the free model, you are effectively the customer, right? If you're just doing the pro plan, you don't get those protections unless you're on that enterprise plan. I know that as US Signal, that is something that we have spent a lot of time looking at. Our CISO has spent a lot of time understanding the contracts, understanding how do we keep US Signal data safe. That's the biggest thing. If you have questions, we're happy to set up conversations with Trevor Beidel, our CISO. He can talk through what that looks like. But don't just assume that these models are good stewards of your data without contractual guideline, SLAs in place. I would also caveat, because we're seeing a lot of these open source models pop up, be very, very, very careful about what data you put into the hosted models. A lot of these organizations are out of China, and while they may be open weights, open source models, it doesn't necessarily protect your data in the in-between in the request, right? So you want to be careful around who can see the request in, the response out.
One other piece to that would be if you're in Copilot and you've got your Microsoft agreement, using those models, you're contractually under Microsoft, so you
Correct.
are protected on that part of things.
Yep, and that was a follow-up question. What if the license is Copilot Premium? So
yes,
Microsoft has, and we can go find the link and paste it in, but they have their protections in place. Your data is isolated to your tenant. They don't train on it, and so Microsoft, understanding that this is important, does have those rules and policies in place to make sure that as an organization you are safe leveraging AI through their platform. So it is, I would say 99 out of 100 times probably the safest route to go through Microsoft and have those protections in place. And we're happy to talk through that as well.
And it allows you to be able to use different models, but just pay the one license and one place to be protected. And
yep, correct. All right, Ryan, now's the fun time.
Here we go.
I'm going to stop sharing my screen. We'll have you pop over.
I think you have to make me a presenter.
I thought I did that. Ryan. Make a presenter. Are you sure? Yes.
There we go.
Okay, weird. It took that away from you. Okay. All right, Ryan. So walk us through what are we on right now?
Okay, so we're gonna walk through being able to look through our mail folder in Outlook, review the messages. We're gonna summarize the unread messages and draft replies to those users. Also, there's going to be a piece where if there's anybody requested for a meeting slot, put together, basically suggest a 30-minute open time slot in my calendar for next week. So here is our first prompt here. And I'm just making sure I'm in Cowork.
Perfect.
So shoot this off.
All right. So while that's working, Ryan, real quick, follow-up question, just to confirm. So both, Anthropic models, OpenAI models, consumed through Microsoft, those have the protections of the Microsoft agreement for your enterprise tenant.
Correct. Yep.
Yep. Perfect.
That's it. Since the creation of Copilot, that's been in place, and it's been using OpenAI on the back end. But now with bringing in some more models, it's that same protection.
Yeah, they host models out of Microsoft facilities. They put the protections in place, so you are good.
Yep. So some things here we're starting to see some back. It's looking through my folder mailbox. I specifically told it to go look through my Cowork demo, so not everybody can sell my emails. Now it's looking through my calendar, and so this is the big piece to show that is that next step up from just, if I were to try to do this in Copilot, it's going to say, well, I can't necessarily create any emails back. It can show you what to paste, but I can't go through and actually create that when you're just in the Copilot chat.
So if anybody's used, if they've got a Claude subscription or they've got a ChatGPT subscription, this is really kind of Microsoft's answer to that experience as well, right? Where if you go into those tools, it walks through its task, it walks through how it's thinking. And so you could even click into the thinking and the thought process and see kind of its chain of event. I mean, we're done now, but it really starts to present a lot of this information to you, so you can get an idea of at least what it's doing as it thinks. How it's coming up with those is still a mystery to everybody, even some of the AI experts. But
for sure. So we'll let this finish up here. So here's where you want me to send everything and book next Wednesday at 2. I'm going to bring up my calendar here.
My recommendation, don't just have it auto book and respond to meetings, or you may be filled up with a lot of discovery calls from salespeople reaching out. So make sure you're putting rules in place if you are implementing this in production.
Okay, got to see. The fun part of demos, right?
Yeah. Can you scroll up real quick? And I just want to talk through quick what the response it gave you was, kind of even that first part. So you can see here, scroll down just to the start of its response, right?
Oh, okay.
So you can see here, I've reviewed all the messages. I've found open afternoon slots next week. Nothing has been sent or booked. It gives you the opportunity to review everything, right? So it has gone through, read, and drafted these responses. So if Ryan pulls up his email, we can go over to the draft folder and see that it's written all of these.
That's the part that.
So not wanting to pull up your.
Oh, you can't see my. Sorry.
Oh, you just shared your browser.
Yeah. Give me a second here.
You want to stop? Oh, okay.
Oh, you can see it now.
Yeah. Yep. We can see through the browser.
Okay. Just for demo's sake, I don't have the drafted files. Can you try again?
Did it not create the drafts?
It didn't.
Oh, wow. See, this is why I'm glad I caveat everything at the beginning. So.
All right. I think it's doing better.
Oh, okay. See, this is where prompting and instructions gets really important. It created the drafts, but it didn't actually generate them in the mailbox.
I heard a good comparison this the other day is you told the kid to unload the dishwasher. Well, he put it all on the floor. Technically, he unloaded the dishwasher, but you didn't put it away. So, all right. Now, if we go back to our email, here is all of the draft.
Make sure you show it through the browser because we're still seeing Copilot.
Okay. Now we can see our drafted replies to all of our folks here. This is the piece where obviously you're going to want to review this. It's going to by default show sent by Copilot Cowork. I think this is more or less Microsoft trying to make sure you're not just clicking send on things. You want to make sure that it's something that you validate and things along those lines.
Perfect. Yeah, this is where you can really start to, Copilot was supposed to help us become more efficient. And I think a lot of people have found uses for it, but in a very limited sense, right? Give me a summary of outstanding tasks in my inbox, or help me draft this Word doc. And Ryan and I have done presentations on those skill sets, but to be able to take it from summarize or draft to now, really acting on it, right? Create the emails for me to review. As an agent, acting on our behalf, it really starts to get powerful. So
Yep.
These are some really cool features, and we're excited to continue to see these be built out.
So then the other piece here, it found some proposed times. I'm good with the Wednesday, July 22nd. So go ahead and place a hold now.
My favorite part of demoing AI is when I find myself getting caught reading the output and like watching it think, and then just leaving silence. So
yeah, the one thing I think will be interesting is as people, I think so many people get used to Copilot or Claude or anything when they're just in chat of they do a response and boom, you get that response right really fast. As you're going to see with Cowork and Scout, it's got to have a little bit of patience. It's doing a lot, so it's not going to be that bam, you got a response right away. But here, kind of wanting us to create that calendar event, double checking with us. You get a little risk score here. For the most
low
part,
risk to book a.
Yeah. Yep. But if we wanted to pick a custom time, we'll just leave it here. I can go ahead and put her in there, or I'm just going to put Taylor. He's going to show up. And this is where if you wanted to get crazy, you can always allow the create event or still keep that human in the loop there.
Yeah. I'm going to forget that this isn't a real meeting now.
I know.
I'm going to show up to it.
Dana.
Perfect.
Before we get into the other Cowork demo, just wanted to show a little bit with Cowork. So it's within the web here, you've got your normal chat, or you can move over to the Cowork there. You can access this through Windows or on your Windows machine, on Outlook, Teams. Under the customize here, this is where we can start bringing in different plugins, or as I mentioned before, skills. So a lot that are built in here can read PDFs, your Word docs, HTML files, things like that. And then if we wanted to add a skill, this is where it's going to ask you for your prompts of what exactly you're trying to do with that piece there. So
perfect. All right,
on to the next one here.
I think this next one is probably the AI feature that I personally use the most. Just research reports and having AI go gather a bunch of information for me to try and get up to speed on something as fast as possible.
Yeah. So what we're doing here is a NIST framework. We need to 2.0 came out. We want to figure out what is kind of the big differences between 1.1 and 2.0. Get me that brief in a Word doc, save it, and draft an email to maybe send to my boss so he understands what's all going on with those differences there. So here we go. The big thing here showing I'm wanting it to save it to a folder within my OneDrive. By default, if I didn't save that, it's still going to just utilize my OneDrive, but it's not anything that I could save locally to my machine or anything like that.
Yeah, I think, personally, as I'm and doing research reports, especially with my role in the R&D and innovation team, anytime we're looking at something technical and new, right? I will open a research report and effectively do this, but frame it as provide a detailed report on what are hardware requirements, what are the software requirements, what are personnel requirements and skills that we need to implement something, and where are the gaps based on conversations and past knowledge that I've provided. And it will generate 20, 30 page reports, right? You may go, well, that's a lot, right? Do I have time to read all that? I have found that actively reading it and spending the time, I'm still saving drastic amounts of time with the research I would have had to have gone and done myself. What's really cool now is that they all effectively fact check themselves and point to where they're getting their information. So you may say, hey, if I'm having AI do a deep research report, how do I know it's not hallucinating, right? How do I know it's not making up information? You still need to be cautious, right? I don't take everything as gospel that gets produced by AI, but I'm able to look at results, and if I see numbers, I can see where it pulled that number from and go and validate the source myself. And so I
find myself
massive time savers.
Yeah, and I find myself these days, even in my prompts, that I need you to make sure you're 100% or as close to 100% accurate as possible. My life depends on it.
It's so funny that if you add those small, kind of silly things, right? Like, I think I've thrown in there, like, if this is wrong, I'll be fired.
Yeah,
and to try and get it to make sure it double checks itself. And there are some studies actually that have come out that if you add those, you tend to get more accurate results, which is kind of wild.
I like to where it's response. I'm still not 100% sure on this, so I don't want to risk your life.
I would be curious, what are some fun ones people have used as they've talked to AI? Because I've seen some pretty wild things. So. Yeah, so you can see now this is an important caveat with these tools. They don't finish right away, right? There is a pretty long thought process as it takes steps. It's working through. It's not going to be a 30-second ordeal. And so you got to make sure that you're willing to give it time and let it look. And you can even see we're still only in step 2 of 3.
Yep. And on the side here, you can get a little bit on what skills, plugins that it's trying to use during those steps. Something else too that I know more people are trying to use this. It just feels a little weird, but AI is big on it. It loves information. The more information you get in a prompt, the better. And there's been research shown that you're going to talk through something much better than you're going to type. So I've been just trying to tell people, try out the microphone, try talking to your AI. I know it feels weird talking to a robot, but I might still get some better results.
the first time that I did that, I was actually in the car and driving, and so I had something that I wanted to think through, but I didn't want to text and drive, and so it was weird for about 20 or 30 seconds, and then it just felt like I was on a phone call, and I in my head I was like, man, I probably look ridiculous right now talking to an AI, but then I realized it was no different than if I was talking to Ryan on the phone. So,
Yep. While that runs, and kind of even showing a demo here that some of these things might take a while. And so I'm going to let that keep running, but we'll just sake of time, we'll move on to some of the Scout stuff and we'll come back.
Let's hop over it. Perfect.
I'm going to share my full screen this time.
And Scout is a desktop app, remember. So this is on, not in the browser.
Yep. All right. Let's bring this over here. Okay, so Microsoft Scout again.
Ryan, we're still seeing Copilot.
Good now?
There you go. Yep, we're good now.
All right. So Scout, again, just to reiterate, is a Frontier preview product. You need to have a Copilot license and also GitHub Copilot Enterprise or Business license as well. Let me get this pulled up here. So wanting to demo within Scout, you still have that where you can chat with it. It's going to look through your local files. So I'm going to have it read a CSV file about demo sales, show me the top 5 products by revenue, and then create me a little summary file. So let's test that here. Just wanted to show down here as well. This is where we can select different models to use, or just leave it at auto here.
That's so funny because when we walked through this yesterday, that wasn't there.
Yeah, the whole interface had an update last night. I was
makes it hard to demo, doesn't it?
Just a little bit, but we're getting through.
That's all right.
Similar look and feel. You will see with Scout here as it starts that you're going to get a lot more prompts, just because it's trying to build that trust with you and understand that it's not going to just go do anything without your approval. Obviously, you can tell it always allow, but for right now, just being overly cautious and wanting just to kind of show that workflow.
Yeah, this is another example of where it's really fun to sit and watch these things work, but right. Not necessarily the fastest. So, Ryan, if we hop back over while this is doing its thing, take a look at the Word doc that got generated.
It created the Word doc. Let's go look at that while it's finishing. Alrighty, so what changed, why it matters. It's showing you who it's going to prepare this for and give you basically that side-by-side of when it was released and all the...
Yeah, I went and found the high level information and summary changes that we need to know.
Yep.
And oh, go ahead.
One thing I feel like it's getting better on too, as everybody's starting to use AI for content generation, starting to see where I think a year ago, if you were to present this, people would have been like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Whereas now it's, well, this is all very much AI generated. And I think it's getting better at, it's not creating me 10 pages. I just don't need that much information, because all I'm going to do is probably put that back into AI to summarize.
Yeah, what's the running joke? All emails now are just AI generated emails being summarized by AI to then generate AI responses.
Yep. But I feel like in the last month, I've really seen that improve immensely on kind of the content generation, not just giving you 10 pages of just the same thing over and over.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I mean, to your point, I think people are getting really good at picking out AI generated content. I saw a statistic, and I don't know how accurate this is, but there was a report that came out that almost half of all LinkedIn content is AI generated. And I know if I scroll my LinkedIn, it's like anytime I see paragraph, bullets, paragraph, it's like, oh, that was probably Claude.
The double hyphen is for me. If you ever see a double hyphen, it's
that and the M dash and yeah.
Other fun one is I feel like any local events, things like that, they're putting out a picture on Facebook. That was AI generated. They're cool. They're great. They look great. It's nice seeing people using AI tools. So.
Yep. All right. So so it drafted the email.
Let's go take a look.
Is this going to be the same thing where it didn't create the draft? It just wrote the content?
Let's see here. Not that one. Here it is.
Oh, okay.
So attached the brief, went through some highlights here. Again, just always making sure. I haven't tested it yet. If you can say in your prompt, don't put sent by Copilot Cowork. Obviously, if you're testing that, make sure to verify before you hit send. But
perfect. Okay. Yeah. So, we saw that through Cowork, we were able to interact with these tools. We were able to create the content. But different than Scout, right? Scout has local file level access, right?
Correct.
We don't have to drop in the specific folders that we need. We can put it into a directory and say, hey, work out of this directory. Here are the files. So where are we at with our Scout?
So with Scout, it's finished. It went through the CSV and created me that summary markdown file. I'll go pull that real quick. As you can see here, it's my local demos folder on my box. Open up the summary.
And it created the markdown file.
Yep.
Perfect.
Scout, and as other people probably seeing other tools, everybody's loving markdown files. I'm not a developer background by any means, but I'm trying to get better surrounded by that because everything's just loving markdown files these days. So
perfect. Ryan, we've only got about 15 minutes left. I want to make sure that we get to the browser automation and the kind of the final demo. So for the sake of time, moving on, walk us through browser automation, because working with CSVs, working with files is great, but to interact with a browser and open up the ability to go interact with just kind of the internet as a whole, really, really powerful.
Yeah. I actually thought of one this morning because I got a message for a meeting or register for an event. So stating I got a meeting invite and it's US Signal. So July 31st, if you're in the Omaha area, come.
You're all welcome.
Out. Yes. It is on July 31st.
I'm curious how this is going to handle it, because you didn't point to anything US Signal related.
Let's see what it does.
So it looks at your calendar.
It looked at my calendar. And that's where Scout, we'll see where Microsoft comes on this. I feel like it all might just blend together, because Scout being able to do everything Cowork can plus local. So I'm sure some people are like, well, then why don't I just use Scout all the time? And that's going to be just kind of one of those things that if local is something you really want, then Scout's the play. For some users, you might not want that, so then just keep them in the Cowork space.
Yeah, I find with Scout being in Frontier and still very new, we split a lot of our AI use between the Microsoft ecosystem and then the OpenAI and the Claude and Anthropic ecosystems. And I find that I use Claude Code for all kinds of tasks, right? Not just writing software, but analyzing data, drafting summaries. Like I pretty much live out of a agent type tool for all of my work now.
So you can see that it's it found the registration page. It's opening it up and submitting my registration. The browser itself is Playwright, and it can run headless, or it can run showing you the browser there. This one, it's just running the actual browser. It's running the headless piece, so we're not going to actually see the browser come up. But trying to think through those tasks, if there's some web page that you're always going to, pulling down data, or you're clicking through, or weekly filling out a form, that's where this can come into play. One caveat to that is because it's so fresh and new, not recommended if it's something that you need to sign into. Where a couple workarounds would be is if once you're signed in, then you could kick off a flow to go out and make those clicks as you need. Personally, some of the testing I've done, it's one of those things that it's really cool that AI can do that right now, but I can click through it faster than AI can at the moment. Sure, that will change fast, but.
It's funny how much of my day has become reviewing if I want AI to execute a command or not.
Right. Yep.
The browser interaction is all so cool though, because I know a use case I have it go and watch a number of OEMs and partners and different software platforms for their release notes pages. And so it'll go check, does it find anything new in the release notes? If it does it pertain to what I care about? And if it is something I'm interested in, then it will notify me. And so always staying up on these topics as best I can. And then the burden becomes just reviewing what it sends me, not the act of having to actually go find it and go sift through all the release notes to see if there's anything I care about.
Yep. So it found the page, it's put in what it's going to send. So I'm going to go ahead and hit submit now.
You should give it your credit card and let it go.
One other piece here that I found was a decent little use case for Scout. I'm sure some other people are like me. My downloads folder tends to get a little out of sorts and not very cleaned up, and files everywhere. So I built this little automation. I want you to review my downloads folder, make sure any files that are in the root folder, move them into a respective folder. If there's not one, create it and move it. So this has been running, and I should have captured a before screen because this was very much just a ton of files.
I'm sure it was just full of files. There probably weren't a lot of folders.
Yes. So that can run it on every 15 minutes, things like that. Similarly, back in our Cowork space, just showing another example within Cowork having a schedule. I have it organizing my OneDrive root folder along with my documents. So it's very similarly, my doc should have had a before folder, but this was all pretty messy. And so I feel like that one, just a low hanging fruit, has been very beneficial to myself. All right, let's see if that finished.
Okay, so it looks like it's submitted, but now it's just waiting to see the response. Done.
Yep.
You are registered.
Yep.
Wow. See, this is exciting for me, not even because, we're able to have it go and act on our behalf, but it's really exciting because our entire audience now knows how to set up a agent that can just go auto register for all of our webinars, Ryan. And then we will get to see everybody every single time. It's just on your calendar. So
yep.
we're teaching you the important skills.
Another use case. Oh yeah, we probably.
Yeah, we've got about 7 minutes left. I want to make sure we leave time for 4 questions if there are any. Real quick, maybe we don't necessarily need to kick off a job, but can we walk through like setting up that heartbeat or that schedule? Just kind of what the steps are to go do that.
So in the automation itself, you'll have the heartbeat that just whatever process that you're needing run every 15 minutes. That can be done here, or we can get a little bit more detailed with a new automation. It can be on a schedule, and it feels weird that I can't like do a drop down and say daily. It's just a word phrase that you're going to give it. So every
all natural language.
Yes. Yep. And if it will, it kind of gives you some of the examples. If I were to say every 20 time, probably not going to know what to do with that. So just making sure we're clear on that. You describe what you want it to do. You can have, I think right now it's up to like 100 different steps. We can change the model. Your permissions, this is very detailed. By default, Microsoft's trying to get better. By default, most things are closed down when you first get into Scout. So you can set it to auto approve. You can set it to make sure you're asking every time. And then this is with the browser, if you want it just to run headless or show the browser there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, with that, we hope that, this was kind of if this was your first introduction to Cowork or to Scout, that it gave you an understanding of what the capabilities were. If you've been in these tools, hopefully, you learned something new. I think we're pretty high level today, just showing kind of the basic skill sets, but this stuff is evolving so fast that I wouldn't be shocked if we're back, in a month or two, going mind blown. Look at the crazy new things that these tools can do for us in the enterprise. So with that, Ryan, I think we'll probably go ahead and kind of wrap up. If anybody has any final questions, we've got a few minutes, so we're happy to answer those. But otherwise, we appreciate you spending, whether it was your lunch hour, whether it was your morning, anywhere in between, taking the hour with us to kind of learn a little bit more about Microsoft's AI tools. And we hope to see you at the next one. We are always looking for feedback on topics. So if there's a specific, Microsoft tool that you're interested in learning more about, definitely let us know. Right now, I think we're leaning on the next one being Ryan, Azure Local is probably,
I think
what we're going to look at.
Yeah.
Yep. We typically have done these in the Microsoft 360, the M365 space, but I think we're going to expand into, especially with just, the Broadcom VMware ecosystem being what it has been the last few years. There's a lot of questions we get around Azure Local, and we will dive into that.
And the only other thing I'd say is really try to, I know some of the use cases we showed you today are a little vanilla, but really trying to just understand what it can do and try to challenge it. Think of something that your day-to-day that, man, this would make my life so much easier. Even if it's something that maybe, yes, you could just do yourself, just getting into the practice and understanding it. Normally myself, I might go do something and then that clicks off a light bulb of, oh, wait, wouldn't it be cool if, and it kind of just keeps snowballing there. So.
Awesome. All right. Well, no questions. With that, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Again, I want to thank everybody for taking the time to attend and hear us out. And we hope to see you at the next one. Thank you, everybody.
Take care, everybody.